Baby, we are back with a client launch episode. I'm here with my man, JVG, aka Joe Van Geison. I gave his nickname before his actual name, but this episode is going to be full of energy, full of excitement. And, I'm just going to jump straight into Joe's bio because this dude is special. Joe Van Geison is a #1 best-selling author, a peak performance coach, a master motivator, and dynamic speaker who has inspired countless people to create joy and find success in their personal and professional lives. After a fruitful 9-year career in higher education, Joe founded Focus Solutions and developed his signature Focus philosophy. Joe helps high-performing teams and individuals reach their highest potential and enjoy their lives by drawing on his expansive background in leadership, motivation, and happiness. Joe, welcome to the show.
Boom, baby. Yeah. Man, crush that intro. I love it.
Dude, no, I appreciate that, man. And I'm fired up to be here. So your book, Enjoy the Grind, is out. It's amazing. Talk to me about the book real quick before we talk about the process. What's the book about? Give us the pitch. Let's hear about it.
Give us the pitch. Yeah, for sure. So, Enjoy the Grind. It kind of started with just, kind of finding happiness as you try to become an elite achiever. And I went through some stuff in my 20s when I was younger. And this book is all about trying to help young people avoid those hurdles that I went through so that they can find success earlier. Enjoy the grind, how to navigate stress, master your mindset, and create happiness in your 20s, right? So really focus on people taking initiative to create things rather than wait for things. And that main thing is absolutely happiness. I think that's very important to the journey for sure.
Dude, I love that. I mean, you said it, finding joy while being an elite achiever.
Yeah.
And I love the way you said that because one of the things that I always say is you have to experience joy and enjoy the journey in the pursuit of greatness. Right. And it's a very similar philosophy there. And so in the book, I mean, are there some ways that if somebody is beginning their career or somebody, just anybody really, is like, I need to bring the joy back into my life? What are some of the things that we can do to have more fun in the day-to-day grind?
Yeah. Yeah. One of the surprising things that I think, people don't realize is this curiosity about learning, right? So people lack motivation a lot. It's a question I get as a coach, like, how do I stay motivated? Those types of things. And I really like to think about a concept called teachability or teachability index. How teachable am I today? Right? Because if you look at your days where you're not vibing, you're not motivated, it's probably because you feel complacent, kind of like, hey, I've done it. There's nothing I can learn here. There's nothing I can do here. So I really think to find happiness, it's kind of weird how it connects, but finding happiness can come from being receptive to learn, right? And as soon as you are like, oh, I can learn something new, then it kind of turns that of like, this is exciting to learn. And then that whole process of development, you can find that happiness and fulfillment, really. I mean, in your book, Elevate Entrepreneur, you talked about, how do you define success, right? And that was really impactful to me. So it's like, I define success as joy and fulfillment. So you can't be fulfilled if you're not learning and growing. So that'd probably be like my go-to tip is like, kind of ask yourself the question, am I being teachable? Because that question allows me to it's pretty easy to answer, right? You're either, yeah, I am, or okay, I was being kind of closed-minded there. So, I think the willingness to learn allows you to grow, which allows you to find the moments of victory and those types of things for sure.
As you're saying that, dude, I'm just thinking to a lot of the times that I've gotten to arguments with my mom growing up or my family because every time I wasn't being teachable, I would notice my defensiveness would increase.
Yeah.
So I'd become more defensive. I'd become more short-tempered. And as you're describing that, I'm just laughing because my mom would always, try to teach me something or tell me something. But me growing up, I was like, Mom, like I already know this, like stop, right?
Yeah.
And I'd be defensive or I'd react. And the reason why is because in that moment I wasn't being teachable. And this goes to dealing with feedback. This goes into business. If you can be teachable and process and validate what someone is saying and be receptive to that, you're going to open up your eyes to being more present. And as you said, find more joy and fulfillment in that pursuit of whatever it may be. So, dude, awesome stuff. I want to know something else though. All right. You had 9 years working in higher education. And now you've really seen you saw a lot of people grow up right in front of your eyes, thousands and thousands and thousands of people, right? Over the course of that time. What do you think is one of those things that as human beings, we can really do in our day to day that could bring us more fulfillment and joy that isn't going to take an hour to do, but something that we can implement right after listening to this podcast that will help us find more joy as we grow and experience life?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And again, so I developed, you mentioned the bio, but I developed my own philosophy when it comes to the word focus. So my business is called Focus Solutions, but that it's all philosophy. And that philosophy really was rooted in my time watching college kids kind of navigate their college years, and then also my own journey, right? So focus to me is an acronym. It stands for find opportunities, create unique success. So again, when you're talking about like an action step, like a immediate thing, it is an activity. You turn that acronym into activity. It takes 5-10 minutes, but you got to proactively think about, okay, today, what's in front of me? What could I do? What could I find to do that's going to help me grow, move the needle, whatever it is, right? So you got to find, that's all up to you. Got to take ownership there. And then an opportunity, right? So I always joke around, what's an opportunity? So an opportunity is a situation that aligns with your vision, right? And that's what I think you hit the nail on the head of the question. It's like, how do they find like inner fulfillment, right? So I saw a lot of kids doing a lot of stuff for other people, right? And there's a piece of fulfillment there, but at the end of the day, like, it's not like coming from you. So, an opportunity is something that it aligns with what you actually want. And I struggled with that a lot. I was more of a people pleaser, trying to, definitely out of service, but I was really trying to make sure people liked me. Right. Find opportunities so you can do that. Think of a couple things that, align with where you're at right there in the moment. And then create is like, dude, it's the end all be all. You and I both met so many people. Oh, great idea. I got this and that, but it's the action, right? It's the action that leads to fulfillment, right? Because if you're doing, even if you, to be frank, even if you're sucking, you still are feeling like, dude, I'm moving the ball, right? I'm doing something. So create is all about action and trying things and doing stuff. And just a reminder there that you are the creator of your own life. And then that leads to unique. So unique is something that's special to you, something that is unique to you. And I really picked unique because I think it's important, again, to lean into what you want in life. Because if you're doing what you love, then it's going to pass on to others, right? And then that's going to hit the last one, which is success, right? So success to me, as we already talked about, is joy and fulfillment. So, I think if you're going to sit down, I do this every week. Like I personally do this every Sunday night, kind of reflect. It's 5-10 minutes of, okay, where did I get that needle, this week? And now what can I focus on moving forward into the next week? And you stack up those weeks, baby, and it adds up, man. It adds up a lot. And you feel good in the process for sure.
I think the biggest takeaway for me as I'm going through this and trying to put myself in that situation, going through the exercise, is it's all about what we as the individual desire for our life. Yeah. Right? If we live within the focus philosophy, if we are trying to live our life based on what someone else defines success as, we're going to miss the opportunities. We're going to not create what we want. We're going to create out of what we think other people want, and it's going to limit our ability to actually create, right? Unique, literally, that's as obvious as it gets. Yeah. But it really stresses that point home. And this is something that I think you do so well, and I think you do really well in the book, is you articulate this whole process. And you did something really cool in your book. All right. And I want you to explain kind of how you kind of navigated it. Like the cover is designed a certain way.
Yeah.
And then you told people in the very beginning how you want them to read the book. And this was unique. Not everyone does something like this. So can you tell us kind of how you did this? Because I want to talk about your book now and the process of making it happen.
Yeah, dude. No, I appreciate that. So I'm just I'm a sucker for a good, analogy, right? I really believe that people can connect with stories through something that they have experienced, right? So I kind of use the analogy that, life, the highway of happiness, has different exits to it, right? So just like you're going to drive down the interstate and you're going to drive down the highway, you might need to hop off, for gas at exit 1, and you might just grab gas and go, right? So the first chapter, all of my chapters are exits, and the goal is to enjoy the ride, right? Enjoy the journey. So chapter 1 is about self-love. Maybe you are just full of self-love and like you already have that. So you just grab gas, you get a little refresher, maybe a Powerade, and you're on the road. But then you get to chapter 6, which is master motivation, where we got to do some activities and work on some stuff. And maybe you take a little vacation at that exit, right? Maybe you get a hotel for a week and stay there. So I encourage readers to somewhat hop around, and obviously you can read it sequentially, but it's more about like, what do I need right now? And the chapters are really meant to be easy digestible, right? It's geared towards recent college graduates. So, people that are buzzing around, they got a lot going on. So I tried intentionally to give chapters, maybe 4 to 5 pages only. And then, again, the activities in them, there's references to other books in every chapter. So you could spend weeks learning about a certain discipline, or you could, kick it to the next one pretty quickly. So yeah, there's 18 disciplines to, happiness and high performance. And it's the highway of happiness and high performance. But yeah, no, I appreciate that. And again, as you know, dude, like I really, really was so excited about this cover design. I went back and forth on a lot of different things, but again, just that road leading to the city, I think it's like a really cool, metaphor. I think people see success as that big city, success life. So I wanted to thread joy into what we visualize, as that highway. So it's cool. I appreciate you picking that up though, man.
Yeah, no, I love this, right? My second book, I did, instead of chapters, I called them Kelf keys, right? And that was something that I did, because here's the truth of it. It's your freaking book. You can do whatever you want in it, right? And that's the coolest way to kind of express your personality. When you create a book, you have the opportunity to do something so special like that. And for those of you that are just listening to this, the cover of Joe's book is the highway of happiness. Like it is a road leading into the city, and it's got big, bold, and yellow, enjoy the grind, to mention the title. And then each chapter is an exit on the highway to happiness. And so there's multiple layers here that bring the analogy home. And I think that this is such a great way for readers to remember you and to remember your book. And when you now create a keynote, you'll have the enjoy the grind keynote, and then you'll have the highway of happiness workshop. Right? Like now what you started to do is you started to build on that. You can start to get materials. You can start to include these things in your coaching program. And that's what like I get really geeked up about, because it's something bigger than just a book. And you've heard me say this a million times, like it's bigger than a book in a variety of ways. So I just love how you went about doing that. I love how you made, instead of chapter 1, chapter 2, it's exits, right? Yeah. And I think that another great thing that you did is, maybe it's not something that you need at the moment, but you could go for a refresher and just gas on a Powerade. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And I think that's a great like analogy to just life in general, is we don't always have to, shut it down, get a hotel, stay overnight. Sometimes we just need a refresher. Yeah. So dude, I love the way that you really broke that down, and made it fun for the reader to experience. And I'd love to know, are you getting feedback from people about that as well, as they go through it?
Yeah, man. I mean, that has been such a cool surprise, right? Your friends are going to reach out and say, hey man, congrats. Right. And that's awesome. And it was really important to me, kind of as I went through that process. But some of the coolest, things that have happened kind of surprised, like, is, getting a DM from a college student who I don't personally know, or I don't know very, very well. And they say, dude, exit 6 was awesome. Or, I learned a ton from exit 5, and, exit 3 was me, or whatever. So like that, again, kind of, it gives that common language, right? Like the Joe-isms almost. And I've gotten a couple DMs with like little stories that I tell in the book, and quotes from the book that made people laugh or whatever. So yeah, it was cool, because that's the way I do see success as a journey, and the grind is the process, so to speak. So I have gotten some pretty special feedback. And then, dude, to your point, I just, for people who have aspirations to write a book, it is such a cool process if you are a coach or if you are a mentor, because I just, in my years of, higher ed, I felt like, man, I can bring, a lot to kids and a lot to, college students, but I was kind of all over the place, right? I didn't really have my, vision and really clearly, I guess. And the process of writing the book, right? Like if you would ask me a year ago, even 8 months ago, right? Because it's such a fast process. If you would ask me 8 months ago what my keynote was, I would have said, what do you need? Because I will build anything you want me to build, right? Because I wanted to please others, and I didn't know who I really was. But now it's like, boom, baby, enjoy the grind workshop is here for you. We're gonna cover this chapter, and then you get to pick a chapter, and I'll run an activity based on that. So I found a way to give the customization I like, but I have just my Instagram content. That was something I really struggle with, is finding, what do I say every day on Instagram, right? And my Instagram content, I mean, I have drafts ready, and I'm really rolling out some new stuff because I'm just following the template, literally chapter by chapter, right? So that has been a really big surprise to me in the inward learning of like, this is who I am. Like, this is what I want to share with people. You kind of go through that whole process of, who am I? And it just comes out in the book, so definitely like a huge bonus as being personally as a coach and a CEO. It's like, now I know my vision, right? So
That's awesome. It's funny that you mentioned that. I just did a podcast on creating content, creating unlimited content from your book. And you mentioned it right now is now you could just go to page 1, go to page 2, go to page 3. You could do, here are the 20 exits or however many exits you have. Here's what the highway of happiness is. I mean, you have endless amount of content. All you got to do is pick something. And then your call to action is very easy, right? It's whatever you want it to be, or it's, did you get your copy yet? Right?
Grab your book. Yeah.
100%. And so I think that, you had an interesting process as you went through this. You did this well. You had some things come up in between that kind of put the book process on hold a few times. But throughout it all, I mean, you executed it pretty quickly, right? And so I would love to know from you, though, because I know there were some times of maybe having a little self-doubt throughout the writing process. Like, how did you overcome that? And then how did that, if it did, lead to confidence or more clarity around the bigger vision of your life and business?
Yeah. I think, really, again, committing to, Big Idea To Bestseller, that program was completely, the step I needed to take, right? I made the investment myself. And so I would have those moments of self-doubt, and I'd be like, dude, you're doing this, man. Like, you're all in. And obviously seeing everyone else in the group, work through the same stuff, like our calls were very helpful. So, I don't know if I would have been able to do it on my own. Like, that's why, I mean, because I've been wanting to write this book for 5-6 years. And the reason it hadn't been getting done is that self-doubt, right? So, writing a chapter and having you take a peek at it, or having, someone else look at it, and having the accountability, that I did with the program, that is absolutely what got me over the hurdle, like the hump almost. And then I started like, be like, dude, this is kind of good, like the highway happens. Like, I got 6 chapters that, like, okay, like, so it's like, it really is that snowball effect of like, you got to get it going, and it just grows and grows. But I think the program is a huge part of, what led to my success. And I am someone who loves coaching and loves support and accountability. So that was instrumental for me, and I'm sure for other people too, because I don't know if I would have been, as encouraged if it was just me. Because there's definitely days I want people to know, like, I'm a super positive guy. I get hyped, just like the rest of them. But man, there were days where I was pulling my hair out thinking, the highway of what? Like I'm an idiot, So it is that roller coaster. I'm sure my wife would love to talk about the roller coaster sometimes, but she was a huge part of it too. And my mom as well, she was my accountability coach. So to have those people that I really care about and love, like my wife, my mom, and things like that, to be supporting it, it's like I don't want to let them down. So I almost became who I needed to become, to get it done.
Come on, man, that's powerful. Tell me the feeling when you got the book in the mail for the first time. Like, describe that feeling, because I always tell people it's an unbelievable feeling, but like you pretty much just went through that. So, how did it feel to have that book in your hand for the first time and be like, "Holy shit! Like I made this. Is a real book." How did it feel?
Yeah, dude, it was incredible. Like, and it really like it hit me like, so I'm a huge reader, avid reader, love like, so like just being able to feel it and like, I mean, it sounds silly, but like that matte finish, like it just felt professional. Like it was just, I mean, Amazon KDP does such a great job. We live in an amazing time, right? Where we upload a document and now, my friends are buying on Amazon. Like people I don't know are buying on Amazon. So that was a really special like moment for me when it came to me. But what really like surprised me, like, emotionally, I mean, I love celebrating success. I love, I'm an emotional guy. I'm a feeling, person. And, seeing a text from a friend holding my book, like, I got it. It was like, dude, this is surreal. Right. So just the fact that other people have access to it and it's making a positive impact is really, really cool. And it's hard to explain. Like it really is. It's like an inward thing. Like, you've almost, you never arrive, you never have that finished mentality, but it's like, wow, I checked a big box and felt really good.
Dude, I love it, man. And every time, as you're describing this, I just think back to the first time I got my first book. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, gosh, that first message. I mean, I'll never forget, I got a message from this person in Africa who had read my book. And I was I read it 17 times because I was
Yeah.
just like, what? Like
Yeah.
what? Is this
Yeah.
real? And he's like, Jake, like I loved your book. It's so amazing. Like I can't wait to share it with people out here. And I was just like, I mean, this is crazy. I mean, all I was doing was just writing some words on a page, and
Yeah.
then all of a sudden now it's international. And then my next book, I'm going to China to talk about the book, and it's like, what? Like what? Like this is available for anybody. You just
Yeah.
have to be
And
willing to commit to
yes.
it. You know?
Yeah, dude, that is what I like. Dude, do it, man. Like we live in the most amazing time in like in ever, right? Even 10 years ago, 12 years ago, I'm ordering copies to my house and like, have huge overhead and, if no one buys it, like I'm shipping them every copy. So it's just the point of entry is so user friendly. It's so there for you. So why not, right? Like so I don't, yeah, I totally agree with that. Like the fact that people could be, you know, reading it anywhere is just beyond me. So it's really, really cool for sure.
So you get the book, you're jacked up, you launch the book, all right? You become an Amazon bestseller. You're getting all
Yeah.
these texts from people that you don't even know who are already reading your book. What are
Right.
some of the other things that have happened since you've launched your book? What are some of those wins that you've already experienced since releasing and launching your book to bestseller?
Yeah, dude. So it just happened literally 2 days ago. It was like, I mean, I literally like, dude, this is nuts. So when you have the book, you gain this clarity, right? It's like it gives you a clear path, right? So, whereas I'm wondering, what do I do to make money? And, how do I, whatever, when you have it, all right, how do I get it to these college graduates, right? So I can obviously DM every individual kid that graduates college and say, hey, I'm Joe, here's my book. And I'll probably do a little bit of that, like on LinkedIn and stuff like that. But I was like, how sick would it be if a whole graduating college class just like got my book, right? And then I started thinking about it, I'm like, okay, cool, let's make some calls. So I'm just very, very fortunate to be connected to some very special people And 2 days ago, I had one of them say, "Yep, I'm in. I'll buy a copy for every graduating senior at my former school." So it's like now 300 kids literally like are gonna have a copy of this, like, and it's just so cool because that was the moment where I really could have used this book, right? So the fact that they got a million things going on, now they don't even have to think about it, right? Because of the graciousness of a donor, that they're going to be able to just literally get it, probably throw it in the car, move their stuff out of college. And then, 2 weeks into their first job, they're like, all right, like I need something. Right. So that was like the cool surprise to me. And then,
Let me jump in there real quick for a second,
dude,
because I want to hammer this home, and I want for everyone that's listening. First of all, you hear the way he's talking. This is the guy that wrote the book Enjoy the Grind. Like, he doesn't practice one thing and write another thing. He lives this truth, and you can hear it as you're talking, man. Like, that service, those opportunities, right? Like, you are finding those for yourself and creating them out of an authentic place to serve. And so I just want to acknowledge you for that. That's incredible. All right. The other thing that I want to address here, and we're not going to get into specifics necessarily on what you charge for this, but I just want to show everyone kind of the economics behind what this could look like. Okay. 300 books. I'm going to use fairly simple math for this example. Okay. 300 books are going to be purchased for an entire graduating class. All right. That's freaking amazing. All right. Yeah. But let's run the economics. 300 books. Let's just say, okay, it was, and I'm going to use simple math, everybody. It was $15 per book. That is a $4,500 order. Okay. You guys following this right now? $4,500. Now, well, what about the expenses? What about shipping the books? What about doing it? Let's say you buy the book for $250, you ship it for about $253. All right. We'll call it $5 a book that you're giving. Maybe you're able to drive it. I don't know your situation, whatever. Maybe you're offering a discount, but let's just say expenses are $5. That means per book, if you're selling it for 15, it's $5 per book. It's a net profit of $10. Times that by 300, that's $3,000 net profit on this one deal.
Yeah.
How great would it be for you as a listener right now to have 300 books in the hands of your ideal clients and a $3,000 check in the bank? Now, again, I don't know how Joe's going to do this. Maybe there's discounts involved. Maybe there's some donated copies, whatever it may be. It doesn't matter. I just wanted to share this example for you guys of what a potential book order like this could mean for you. And if you do that 20 times throughout the year, that's 60 extra grand in your bank account.
Yeah.
You kidding me, folks? Are you kidding me? This is the power of having a book. So, all right, Joe, back to you. I know you wanted to share a couple other things as well that are already happening for you.
Yeah, no, the other thing too is, again, I think this goes back to the inner confidence and comfort. Like, now that I know, again, through this process, it gave me more confidence in what I do. And I think that's really important because these opportunities were there before the book, but I wasn't ready for them. Right. So yeah, you have a book, you have a tool. Absolutely. Like, that is instrumental. But the journey that you go on as an author to become an author, it changes who you are, right? Yeah. So like in 10 years, I'm a different dude because I went through the process. So I think there's like two big takeaways from writing and authoring. So the other thing that I've done is, before this book, in like 3 years of my business, I did like 4 live workshops virtually, right? And I did a couple speaking engagements, but not many. Like, we're talking like 5 to 10 total. In the last 2 weeks, I've done 5, 4 with college, teams, athletic teams, and then 1, which is super cool, with a professional baseball sales team, right? So their ticket sales team, connection through a connection led me to talking to the, just a really great mentor to his staff, and the director of ticket sales there. And he was like, hey, let's work something out. So I did like a lunch and learn kind of activity. But again, they did the Enjoy the Grind workshop, the same activities. So it was very streamlined, right? I was able to, kind of plug and play with the content. But I mean, now I literally, can say like, dude, I've worked with Major League Baseball. Like, and these are things that I would have never had the confidence to say, dude, book me. I would have thought, why would they book me?
Yeah.
So that's where it's like, really cool. And these are paid paid gigs, right? Like, whereas like the ones prior last year, like all of those together was me touting, like, I will do it for free. Please just have me. I didn't really believe myself. So, yeah, dude, that was like, I mean, a surreal. I mean, that's like you call your dad, you're like, dude, you know, like those are the big ones that you're just like so excited about, and get you juiced up for sure.
Damn, dude, like you're just firing me up, dude. This is
Yeah.
amazing. You know, it's really cool. And one thing that I want to address here is the confidence piece. Because if you look a year ago, you wouldn't have said you weren't confident. You just didn't
Yeah.
realize what true confidence in yourself was. And
That's
by going through the book process, you figure that out. And this is what I say when people write a book is you go through the journey that can be unexplained previous to going
yeah.
into the journey. I could tell everyone who's listening to this, I could tell you, look, you're going to have the craziest life-changing transformation because writing a book, it's bigger than the book. And you're literally
Yeah.
talking about this, but here's what happened. You get confidence. That imposter syndrome disappears. When you get confidence, what that turns into is conviction. Conviction about what you do, who you are, and what you can offer. And that conviction is translated directly into your ability to inspire others to want to do what you're doing or to hire you or to work with you. And that leads to conversions. So confidence to conviction to conversions. And you are literally,
Yeah.
you just described that formula in a couple minutes here. So,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
if somebody was thinking about writing a book, okay, is there an exit from your book, or is there a philosophy besides the focus philosophy? Okay,
Yeah.
is there anything, any piece of advice, any tip that if someone was thinking about writing a book, or they just wanted to get to the next stage of their life and achieve a big goal, what would you tell them?
Yeah, dude, that's really good. I mean, it's a great question. I'm literally looking, you know, because I want to get something that's valuable here. Um, you know, I really think like the two things that come to mind are love yourself, right? And you hit the nail on the head, dude. I didn't even like literally realize that. But I like was a confident guy. Like I felt really good about who I was. But then like this process, it wasn't like, whoa, I'm not enough. It was like, whoa, there's another level, right? So that's a really good takeaway that I didn't even realize because it was like I kind of thought I had it figured out, and that goes back to teachability, right? But I would say to get over that imposter syndrome, you know, get over that hurdle, really leaning into self-love, right? And for me, that I just define that as treat yourself like your best friend, right? Treat yourself like the person you love the most, and then you'll start to actually act that way. And then from a like a literal standpoint, how do you write? You know, how do you do something like this? I refer to as, and I know you're a big hoops guy, so you'll love this, baby. You know, look for layups. Look for layups. Writing a book, yeah, exactly, yeah, exactly. Writing a book is like throwing. It's like the guys from Dude Perfect who are chucking basketballs from like
The
10 feet up.
mountaintops.
Yeah, exactly, right? It feels like it's impossible, right? So we want to break it down and look for layups. So a layup is writing a page a day, right? It's writing for an hour every day. And maybe get 5 pages, maybe get one, maybe get 10. But a layup is something like I can attack that, I can do that. And then enough layups, man, you can win the game. So that's I would say, like, from the standpoint of, because everyone's busy, everyone's got stuff going on. So from a standpoint of getting it done, that chapter really is resonated with a lot of people. I've gotten a lot of good feedback on it. Look for layups. So try to make it easy for you.
Dude, what a way to end this, man. That fires me up because, like, I've been thinking about, like, how do I do this whole basketball analogy about life? And I have the, like, if you live a life with more assists than turnovers, you're going to win. You're going to win. You're going to have a great life, right? Like,
Yeah,
how can you serve more rather than taking for yourself? And now I'm going to have to,
that's
I'm literally going to
good.
take this from you and I'm going to quote
Oh,
you in it every time.
use it,
And it's going
baby.
to be looking for layups, right? And if you go hard in the paint, right? There's a reason Shaq was the most dominant, right?
Yeah,
Couldn't hit the outside jumper, but if Shaq got the ball in the paint, he'd lay it in or he'd dunk it because that was a high percentage shot. And we need to find more high percentage opportunities in our life. And I'll tell you what, folks, if you want to write a book, a high percentage layup is to work with us to get this book thing done.
yeah, absolutely,
Right?
absolutely.
And so with that said, Joe, how do we buy your book? How do we support Enjoy the Grind? How can we get bulk order? Give us the goods. Where do we go? How do we connect with you?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I would say number one spot, I'm really, really leaning into Instagram right now. I mean, the link is in the bio to buy the book. I am super appreciative of anyone that's interested. So if you're looking at bulk order or anything like that, just DM me directly. I would love, I mean, I block specific time to talk to people and to support them. So very accessible there. So I'd say there, and then also on my, my website. But you can go right to Amazon as well. Just enjoy the grind, but that is definitely the number one way to connect. All my programs, all my one-on-one coaching, I go through there. And then I realize, like, I totally respect, my target market is, young broke people who are just getting into the real world. So, I have a lot of content that, hopefully will help people, and you can digest that right on Instagram. It's very easy to access for sure.
Cool. So just to recap, Instagram at Joe Van Geison. We'll link that up. Website, focussolutionscoaching.com. And then make sure to get Joe's book on Amazon, Enjoy the Grind. And if you want to get straight into working with him, he's got his group program starting very soon. So if you want to just jump right in, get that layup, figure out how to live on the highway of happiness, how to speed down that path without getting a ticket, then go ahead and link up with Joe. But Joe, dude, I appreciate you for coming on the show. Thank you so much for being here, man. It's always a pleasure to chat. And for those of you that are listening to this show, if you love Joe on the show, I love the rhyme. If you love Joe on the show, drop him a let's go in the chat. All right? Drop him a let's go. Drop him a let's go in his DMs. Let him know that you came from here. And that's what it's all about, right? We got to have fun. Today was a lot of fun, a lot of joy in this episode. I hope that you found that. And as always, keep enjoying the journey. All right. You got a story to tell. Your message deserves to be told. And it is game time for all of us. So thank you again, Joe. And thank you to you all for listening to this episode.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.